look, it's not like I just woke up and decided I was going to choose violence. It's just one of those things that just decides to happen, you know? Readers, I don't usually do this, but I feel the need to call out my fellow YouTube peers for participating in the Discord that hit the internet on January 24th, 2021. Matt Draper, Fanboy Rewrites, Brown Table, Mr. Sunday Movies. This Team Godzilla and Team Kong infighting is bullshit, and I refuse to be part of it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all kaiju are king/queen/royalty. But in the case of the upcoming installment of Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures' Monsterverse franchise, Godzilla vs. Kong, it's obvious that someone who seeks the destruction of all the titans in the universe is behind pitting these two against each other. Plus, I don't care which side y'all choose. Y'all starting to sound like those whack-ass, but can they be Goku though stands, and I'm sick of it. Now, we know that this is someone, aka a group of humans, because of two things. The first comes from the official synopsis of the movie, which states, and I quote, "As Monarch embarks on a perilous mission into uncharted terrain and unearths clues to the Titans' origins, a human conspiracy threatens to wipe the creatures, both good and bad, from the face of the earth forever." And depending on who else you've watched on the internet that also is analyzing the trailer since it first came out on January 24th, the second comes from the trailer itself in the form of two scenes. One of Dr. Serizawa's son, Ren Serizawa, played by Japanese actor Shun Oguri, standing in front of a computer screen displaying a digital rendition of a Godzilla-like kaiju with a maximum charge overlay in front of it, and the other of humans fleeing an attack from what looks to be a metallic creature with red outlines on it that's also Godzilla-like. This, along with the out-of-character actions of Godzilla earlier on in the trailer that prompted his and Kong's first fight, convinced lots of individuals who watched the trailer, including me, that Godzilla is actually being framed, and that the inevitable creature that Godzilla and Kong are going to end up teaming up against at the end of the movie is fan-favorite imposter Mechagodzilla. Which is why I refuse to choose sides, because I am not a child. Unlike some people. Now, I know that the movie won't be simultaneously released in theaters and HBO Max until sometime in March of 2021, and we won't have any confirmation about Mechagodzilla's involvement until then, more than likely. But let's just assume that the big bad kaiju of GVK is in fact Mechagodzilla, and that he's being used to provoke a fight between Kong and the actual Godzilla. That if defeated and killed, according to the rule established by King of the Monsters, will leave the other Titans leaderless and free to run amok around Earth without a proper figurehead to police them. Who in the world would create Mechagodzilla to fulfill this purpose? And would it even be possible for them to do so by the time the events of Godzilla vs. Kong come into play? Well, readers, let me start things off by telling you that Mechagodzilla showing up in Godzilla vs. Kong isn't as improbable as one might think. But first things first. Is my dear brother Nimsi's eco-terrorist organization from King of the Monsters responsible for creating it? I highly doubt it. The whole point of Alan Jonah's vendetta was to release the Titans so that the radiation they give off helps heal the planet of the damage done by humans. That's the reason why he was working with Dr. Emma Russell to free Ghidorah in King of the Monsters, so that he can wake the other dormant ones to begin the process. But because Ghidorah wasn't a Titan from Earth, his dominance over the other Titans was bringing more destruction than healing once Godzilla was forced to retreat after being hit with the oxygen destroyer. While Emma realized this too little too late, Alan at this point was of the mind of, it doesn't matter if it's Ghidorah or Godzilla controlling the Titans, the plan stays the same. If anything, it felt like he was impressed at how quickly Ghidorah was getting the job done.
Long live the king.
So when we get the end credits scene of Alan buying the severed Ghidorah head from Godzilla's fight with him after they use the Orca to free Rodan, it's obvious he wants to recreate the power that he saw with Monster Zero. Now, we do know that there is a mech version of Ghidorah, and I am 100% sure that that's what the King of the Monsters end scene was alluding to. But considering what we were exposed to in the movie, Jonah's militia is small, and there's only so much that they can do with that head by the time King of the Monsters ends and Godzilla vs. Kong begins, which, considering the difference in appearance of the returning cast from King of the Monsters, wasn't really that long. If anything, the presence of Mechagodzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong, specifically the aftermath of the battle when Godzilla and Kong team up to defeat him, might be what gives Jonah and his team the push that they need to create this mecha version of Ghidorah for a proper Godzilla Part 3. Whatever wreckage there's going to be of Mechagodzilla at the end of Godzilla vs. Kong will more than likely be used to serve as the body for Mecha Ghidorah when Godzilla has his third solo outing. And that's mostly because after seeing the authentic version in action in King of the Monsters, I think Jonah's more interested in having control of a creature he already knows can possibly take down Godzilla, and can easily control the other Titans in the form of Mecha Ghidorah, rather than try and involve himself in this attempt at Godzilla's downfall. Then there's the fact that my dear brother Nimsi himself, Charles Dance, isn't even in Godzilla vs. Kong, so I'm pretty sure they're saving that angle for a third Godzilla movie. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Laurent, there's only a 5-year gap between the attack on San Francisco and Godzilla King of the Monsters. That's not enough time to create a Godzilla-sized mech, especially if you want people to believe that it's actually Godzilla. True. There was only 5 years in between the attack on San Francisco and Godzilla's battle with Ghidorah in Philly. But you have to remember that the attack on San Francisco and everything involving the Muto was when the existence of Titans was revealed to the world. Kong Skull Island has shown us that knowledge of Titans has gone back since the Vietnam War, and limited knowledge of Godzilla for even longer. The American government has been trying to kill him since the 1950s, only to form Monarch to study him and others like him when that didn't work. So who's to say that either someone originally part of the initial plans to kill Godzilla, or even an ex-Monarch member, isn't behind this plot to frame Godzilla with an exact replica of him created over the span of 50 plus years with the data and organization gained since its inception? Well, that's where I come in, because while I do believe that a Monarch splinter group in one way or another is definitely responsible for building Mechagodzilla, I don't think they're the main ones responsible for making Godzilla, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. The one I think is responsible is actually the same person we saw in the same scene in the trailer that first hinted at Mechagodzilla's existence. Ren Serizawa, Ishiro Serizawa's son. Having immediate access to his father's notes and data during all the years he studied Godzilla for Monarch, he could have easily stolen it after his death in King of the Monsters and provided the Monarch Splinter Group the proper information necessary to mimic Godzilla's movements, actions, and personality for it to be convincing. As far as a motive for Ren, it's very simple. Ren wants Godzilla, along with the other Titans, dead for stealing his father from him. Specifically Godzilla, who, according to how much time, energy, and effort we see Watanabe's character displayed toward him over the course of Godzilla and King of the Monsters, robbed Ren of his father growing up. Even to the point of seeing Ishiro's self-sacrifice to rejuvenate Godzilla in King of the Monsters as showing more dedication to a creature that could care less about him than to himself and the rest of his family.
사라바. 정말.
In a way, it kinda reflects the father-son relationship dynamic between Aaron Taylor Johnson's Ford Brody and Bryan Cranston's Joe Brody in the first movie. The obsession Joe had over finding out what the cause of the accident that killed his wife was, creating a rift in the relationship with his son that caused Ford to become bitter with him. Because according to Ford's point of view, Joe cared more about discovering the truth that eventually led to the reveal of the Muto than focusing on the relationship between the two of them and being a proper grandfather to Ford's son. And considering that Shun Oguri, the actor playing Ren, is in his late 30s, that puts him at a prime age for this character to even have been part of Monarch during the events of the past movies in order to steal the information for the Splinter Group that's necessary to make Mechagodzilla Mechagodzilla. And people said that the human element in these Monsterverse movies was dumb. But I digress, readers. Your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below who you think might be responsible for the creation of Mechagodzilla if you think he's going to show up in Godzilla vs. Kong. Or if you feel like sharing with the rest of the class, if you're like me and judgingly shaking your heads at everyone childishly picking sides between Godzilla and Kong. Whichever you decide to answer, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.